950 पर हमसे राब्ता करें। शुक्रिया।
घरेलू नचाकी औलाद का न होना औलाद नाफरमान है। मोहब्बत में नाकामी, औलाद के रिश्तों की परेशानी, कारोबार में बंदिश, काले जादू का असर। तो आप परेशान न हो, आज ही इस्तिखारे के लिए राब्ता करें हाफिज मुबारक शाह साहब से। व्हाट्सएप नंबर है 0742460508। That's 0742460508। अपनी जिम्मेदारी से राब्ता करें। रेडियो आपकी आवाज पर कोई जिम्मेदारी नहीं है।
Adderley Nursery School, close to the city centre, St Saviour's Road, Birmingham, B8 1HN. A place to create and learn, connect and belong. We are a local authority maintained nursery school led by a head teacher and a team of experienced specialist early years teachers and practitioners. We offer free 15 hours for all 3 and 4-year-olds and some 2-year-olds. We also offer free 30 hours childcare for working parents, support for children with special educational needs and disabilities, and we are open from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m, term time only, and we offer breakfast and tea. We are based on St Saviour's Road. Please call and register your child on 0121 764 4183.
I'll just help him out.
We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
बर्मिंघम सेंट्रल मॉस्क हाईगेट, बर्मिंघम की सबसे पहली मस्जिद और यूके की दूसरी मस्जिद की बुनियाद 1960 और 1970 में रखी गई। बर्मिंघम सेंट्रल मॉस्क में मजीद इम्प्रूवमेंट के लिए आपकी मदद की जरूरत है। आइए दिल खोलकर मदद करें और साथ दें। अल रायन बैंक, बर्मिंघम मॉस्क ट्रस्ट लिमिटेड, सोल कोड 30008, अकाउंट नंबर 01264201, telephone number 0121440555। समाप्त फरमा रहे हैं आपकी आवाज रेडियो यूके की नशरियात को। स्टूडियो से राब्ते के लिए नंबर नोट कीजिए 012168293735। एडवर्टाइज स्पॉन्सर के लिए 07944808141।
Assalamualaikum. Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Community Talk Show. I'm your host, Mohammed Amin, and it's just gone a minute past 8 o'clock on a Thursday evening. And as always on Thursday evenings, we have quite interesting, challenging discussions. And this week's been one of those weeks that's just gone by. We've had the horrendous weather. Hope you guys are all being safe and well. And mashallah, it's calmed down now in Birmingham. But if you buy the river, then you are still suffering. So batten down the hatches and look forward to the weekend. Inshallah, they're predicting the weekend's going to be better. As always, as you know, we always cover COVID-19, and COVID-19 is still around in the community, and it's coming down, and the numbers of people infected by the COVID-19 virus are coming down, which is good news. But we still need to be around with precaution. I was very privileged enough today with Radio Abgavaz. I was out visiting the actual vaccine minister, and it was quite interestingly about the work we've been doing regarding vaccines, and he was mentioned. So again, there's thanks to all you viewers and listeners listening to our program and following the guidance that we give you. At the end of the day, we do this for your benefit. Radio Abgavaz, it's on www.abgavaz.co.uk. The studio number is 07944 and you can listen to us live on www.abgavaz.co.uk. You can listen to us on the Radio Garden app, the Hindi radio app, and also recordings of these programs are available on Facebook Live and YouTube at the end of the program. Please make any appropriate comments in the live feed on Facebook Live, and inshallah we will cover them. So, without further ado, I'll introduce you to my first guest, and I've got a lovely lady here in the studio, my niece, Nosheen Khalid, and I'll ask her to introduce herself, and she'll tell you a bit about herself, and then we'll discuss the topic that we will have a discussion for the next 10-15 minutes. Assalamu alaikum, Nosheen. Welcome to our community talk show. It's always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
So my name is Nosheen Khalid, and I am a copy editor. I'm from Adam Rock, from the local area.
MashaAllah.
And I'm also a core member of Support Muslim Business Forum, which is a networking organisation which we've started here in Birmingham.
So we always have on my programme, I talk about health, local issues, local concerns, because we take pride in our area of Alumrock, and in our great city of Birmingham. We want to make sure that citywide we head up the taking pride in our area, whether it's a litter picking exercise, whether it's community cohesion, whether it's health services or well-being. And recent events have not been very good, unfortunately. And what I would like to have a quick chat with you about is there is quite a bit of violence that's happening, whether it's knife crime, whether it's gun crime. So let's just wind the clock back and try and look at some of the root causes and try and see, between us this evening, we can come out to some type of a solution to say, why it's happening. So, over to you.
I mean, I wish there was a solution, but I guess steps towards a solution, probably. I don't know, I think if you said wind it back to what the causes are, I think it's important to take a kind of holistic approach to looking at these kind of things. And, you know, one side is logistical, and one side is let's really look at our community and the problems within our community and some of the reasons why we are where we are right now. Nobody can deny that it's getting worse. Nobody can deny that we're not where we should be, that there's an inordinate amount of violence. Just a few days ago on Wright Road, the road where I grew up, a young boy was murdered right outside his house. His name's Sahel, and, you know, Allah grant him Jannah, and I really feel for the family. You know, my condolences to his family and to his friends and people that love him. It's a horrible, horrible thing. Not just for him, not just for his immediate family, but let's look at the people that witnessed it, the people that were on the scene straight away, the trauma that they're going to have to live with. This is not a normal thing. We've kind of normalized it. Oh, so-and-so got murdered or so-and-so got shot, and it's become a normal, you know, it's become part of our vernacular and a part of our everyday life. It's not normal. And we need to accept that this is not normal and something needs to be changed.
It's hit the community, because look at the memorial of flowers there on that.
Everything I never knew him personally, but my family knew him, and everything that I've heard about him has been positive. And so it's important to look at, it's easy to kind of demonize and say, what was he up to? Maybe, you know, why did this happen? Who would shoot someone for no reason? But in fact, crime is it's a consequence. It's not the root cause. It's a consequence of the root cause, I think. And so it's important to look at the root cause. And for me, I think there's many reasons why we're here where we are. If we look logistically, the lack of youth centres, the cutting of funding, the lack of police on our streets, on a political level, if you look at it like that. And then we have things like, I'm sure you're aware of the Trojan Horse podcast that's just come out recently, and the fact that we had a once thriving school that was taking kids to the top institutes in, you know, from Alum Rock, one of the most, you know, crime-ridden, violence-ridden, poverty-stricken areas in Birmingham, was having kids going to Cambridge straight from, on a flight path from Parkview to one of the top institutions in the country, absolutely shattered. And under, if we call a spade, an Islamophobic environment. You know, you have to be honest about what it is. And then you look at the fact that boys from our area, statistically speaking, boys from working class, poorer areas, compared to boys specifically from more wealthy areas in the UK, have a 8-year less lifespan than boys from... If you add all of these things together and then look that there's logistically, there's no outlet for their aspiration. What are they going to aspire to be? What are the outlets? Do they have access to sporting facilities? No. Do they have people that they can look up to? No. Do they have a ladder, clear cut, that we're going to start here and get
clear role model?
Nothing at all. There's no, and who's teaching our boys soft skills? Who's teaching them the soft skills? Who's teaching them how to go and give an interview? How to present yourself at work? There's nothing. There's so many different factors that are creating the environment that we're in. It seems like a bit of a losing battle. I'm going to be honest.
Let's go back a little bit about the lack of youth centres.
Yeah.
So just enlighten our viewers and listeners. What impact will a youth centre have to our boys in this area?
It gives them something to do on a most basic level. Somewhere where they are supervised outside the time. Let's remember we're in a working class environment. Let's remember these parents are not working 9 to 5s. We have parents, taxi drivers, shop workers. They're long, grueling shifts. They can't be there to supervise their children all the time. And there is violence and drugs in our areas. That's a fact. So there has to be somewhere, some outlet for them to kind of, let off steam, have some fun, a structured, organised kind of thing. With a lack of that, what do? They're out on the streets. And when they're out on the streets, who's supervising them? Nobody.
I have some very good friends who are taxi drivers. These people are very clever people. And academically, with all due respect to them, they may not be as strong, okay? But mashallah, they are very clever, because if I sit in their cab and say, right, I want to go to Solihull, please, they'll take me to Solihull, right? You've got to have something up there to know your directions and bearings, you can't just become a taxi driver overnight, okay? About 10, 15 years ago, somebody mentioned a comment to me, and in a local school, one of the teachers said to the children to say, where would you like to be? And it was the aspirations. And one of the young lads said to me, I want to be a taxi driver. I said, okay, no problem, sir. And somebody said to me, I want to work in a takeaway. And I said, no problem. I says, these people are working in a different type of service industry. And somebody very close to me said, I can't have my son being a taxi driver. I can't have my son being working in a takeaway. I said, no problem. If that's the individual's aspirations, let's have a look at the root cause. And we sat down, we had the discussion. And ironically, the argument came from the school, because a particular teacher in a particular school, I don't want to mention the name of the school for obvious reasons, said, that's what you boys in Al-Mark, that's what you become. Okay? So I thought, yes, I know what the answer is, but let's get the individual to realise what it entails to be somebody who's working in the takeaway industry. So I said, yeah, you go to work about 3, 4 o'clock, and you don't come back home until about 2, 3 o'clock the following morning. And I said exactly the same thing with a taxi driver. I said, you go out tonight, and you come back 5, 6 tomorrow morning, and depending on how much you earn, will decide what type of lifestyle you will lead. Yeah. And I said, you will have to sometimes do anything between 8 to 10 hours a day just to cover your running costs and maintenance and all that stuff for your vehicle, and it's not an easy job. And this individual turned around and said to me, he says, Uncle, I didn't realise. But because X at school said this, that's.
And how sad is that? How sad is that? That if you went into a middle class area, you would not see children saying they want to be taxi drivers. There is always aspiration. Unfortunately, there's no route for the aspiration here. There's no idea of what you could be, what you could potentially do, partly because of the schools, partly because of society, partly because of where they've grown up, and there's no role models. And so they want to be, and if it's not taxi drivers, and if it's not, it's crime. And the violence is a result of the crime. And ordinary people get caught up in the violence, just like this boy Sahel, who was murdered a few days ago. we all become the victims of this.
Yeah.
We all become the victims of our children having nowhere to go and not
Yeah.
knowing that they can do things. And so we all have a collective responsibility
And
to make sure
and,
that
you
they
know,
do have that.
Unfortunately, our parents, work long hours and what
Yeah.
have you, and they may not may not be able to give that much support to the children and what have you. What happens is children go to school, and if they have that aspiration from school,
Yeah.
then we're setting our children to fail. And I always stand up when I have to do talks and presentations, and I always say that I'm an inner city lad from the great city of Birmingham. I was destined to fail, and here I am in front of you, 400-500 people, and I'm here giving a presentation to you, right? And I say that with pride,
Yeah.
right? And some of them laugh at me and say, "Oh, no." I say this with pride because I'm going to talk to you about a particular topic, but this is my background.
Yeah.
I says, if I can do it, anybody can do it.
The problem is, in a lot of cases, you're the exception to the rule. But we want you to be the rule, right?
Yeah.
We don't want you to be the exception to the rule. We want all of our children to feel like they can do whatever they want to do. And so when you look at solutions, the solutions is community. This idea of individualism and living lives alone is kind of what's taken us backwards. There needs to be a sense of community. Yes, the government has a role to play. Yes, the local councillors have a role to play. Yes, local businesses have a role to play. We also have a role to play.
We all have.
We all owe a
role to
duty
play.
of care. If it becomes, it's just about me, then nobody's going to succeed. Not even we're going to succeed, because we will become collateral in something at some point or another, And to that end, so the organisation that I'm part of, we, a couple of years ago, just before COVID, we started off our summer school scheme. So we had a summer school, and the kind of the criteria we had for children who were going to be part of the summer school was, you had to be of a certain low income bracket and things, and at the end of it we rewarded them with taking them to the cinema, and it was kind of an eye opener for me as someone who was born and brought up in Allen Rock also, that I would say about 80% of the children, and they were like 12 years old, 11 years old, had never been to a cinema.
Never been to a cinema before.
Never been to a cinema.
I've experienced that.
And it was so sad to me.
Sad.
So sad to me that this is something that people take for granted. It's a normal thing. It's £5, £6 for a cinema
ticket. A bit of entertainment.
For whatever reason, it doesn't
yeah.
always have to be money, but it's also accessibility.
Yeah.
They had never been to a cinema. And so these things are important. We taught them about identity. You can be proud to be Muslim and British at the same time. It doesn't have to be either.
No.
And all of these different facets make you who you are. We spoke about identity, confidence, sport, because that's a massive thing in confidence, especially when it comes to boys. Being active and having some kind of channel for their energy and not just...
But it is a proven fact that if you've got young lads who are involved in some type of sport, they use some of that energy in playing that sport once a week, whether it's cricket, football, or whatever you. It gives them that ability, but it's not just ability to physically go back to the classroom and academically, but you develop your social skills. You'll be able to talk to people. You'll be able to have conversations, but discipline as well. You don't realise how many of those boxes it ticks on a standard form if you look at one of those forms.
Life is not an A to B.
Yeah.
Do you know? It's important to be a well-rounded individual, and in the pursuit of food on the table, our children don't have those. It's school, college, if it's college, job, or university, job, and there's hardly anything else. Why should they not have the same opportunities that other people have? You
see, in our local area of Allen Rock, we've got the Adley Park. There used to be like a youth club in the Adley Park where people would go in and they would there used to be table tennis in there, there used to be snooker in there, and people used to hire badminton rackets and nets and all that stuff. Similarly, there used to be like a youth club facility in Ward End Park. The base.
Yes, and also Hutton Hall.
And Hutton Hall.
Yes, we grew up with those. Right. We grew up playing, going there in the summer club, and also on Highfield Road.
Highfield Road, yeah.
Where the Ziriab restaurant is now. We used to go there for summer schools.
That's
and
right.
There was so many things for us
so
to
much
do.
That was
we used to walk to the library all the way from Wright Road on our own to the library, take out books every summer, return them at the end of the summer. There was things for us to do. There was an outlet, and not just in terms of sport or creativity, educational. There was an outlet for everything. There isn't that anymore. There's no mentorship. There's no mentorship. There's nobody there who's saying, I'm going to give my hours to make sure that these children have what they need. We were mentoring, so we have a mentoring program also. So we were mentoring at a local school in Aston, and there was a bunch of boys there that had been sent to, I don't know what it's called, like a detention kind of
Oh,
thing.
like a young
Because they
offenders.
were involved in a machete
Yeah, yeah.
attack.
Yeah,
These
yeah,
were
yeah.
young boys,
Yeah.
okay? They'd been written off completely.
Right.
We did nothing educational with them. We sat with them and we tried to identify, what is it? What's gone wrong here? Nobody wakes up and decides to start picking up a machete. Nobody's parents encourage you to do that.
Yeah.
And it was a lack of confidence. They felt there's nothing else
There's
for them.
no other solution.
There's nothing else. All we did was confidence building with them. They left school with good grades and they went to college. They were otherwise written off. This is what we need. And if there's anybody out there that's listening and that wants to get involved, we have a dinner on Saturday at Highbury Hall. Just get in touch. I'll leave my number with you. Come down. We'll talk. If you're from the community, come down to the dinner. Come speak to me. And we are looking for people to...
Mashallah, I did get the invite for Highbury Hall. Unfortunately, I've got a family event on this weekend. I said my apologies. But I think these type of events are so important because they encouraging the parents and the children to get involved, and they engage in the community and they enlighten. So we can talk about root causes, we can talk about what's happened in the past, but going forward you have to put some type of in place to make sure that going forward Alam Rock, it becomes a vibrant place for people to live and enjoy.
Let's call a spade a spade. When it's in the newspaper, it's a Muslim area.
Yeah.
It's a Muslim area, right?
Yeah.
It's Pakistani boys, it's a Muslim area, it's a Muslim problem. Let's create a Muslim solution. Put your money where your mouth is. We have so many, businesses and prosperous business people in this area. Let's get together and let's do something. Let the Muslims give back. There's no reason why we shouldn't.
And also, there's no reason why the businesses should give a little bit back to the community. At the end of the day, there are so many wealthy businesses in Alam Rock and have been in Alam Rock for many, many years. And maybe give something back to the community that's supported you all these years.
I mean, I believe in political solutions. I'm a member of the Labour Party. I believe that, we have to be active. We need to make sure that we're involved in order to ensure that there's a change. But I also believe in collective responsibility. I also believe in looking after your community. And so both things have to go hand in hand. I'm not just sitting here saying, businesses come and give your money or businesses come and give your time. I'm also a member of the Labour Party who goes there and campaigns and makes sure that we get the right people in to make sure that the right jobs are done and that our area is given the attention that it needs. But at the same time, I'm giving my time to make sure, and I'm not saying, I'm doing it, but I'm saying people are giving their time to make sure that the things that need to be done are done so that there aren't other Sahels. Because it's too much.
It's too much. Well, to be honest with you, one loss of life is just too much.
He's not a statistic.
No.
He's somebody's son, brother, husband. He's a human being who had an impact and who was supposed to have an impact, who can't anymore because somebody came and shot him. It's unfathomable. It should be unfathomable. It should be sending ripples in our community. It shouldn't be another number.
But this is happening all too often. Just have a look on the chat. Shakil Ahmed, Assalamu alaikum ji, basically said, good topic. He basically said, plenty of issues, drugs, stabbing, street crime, Islam to all. And it's nice that we're having this type of conversation. And the reason for that is the community tries to avoid these type of conversations. The community feels that it's not my problem unless it affects me, and that's where it hurts. Because at the end of the day, these are serious issues, and these serious issues have to be discussed, and that's the whole idea of discussing these issues. So we can make sure that these root causes. People can learn about them, but more importantly, whether it's the local authority, whether it's the family, whether it's the community, we have to all collectively take it as our responsibility and do our little bit to bring that change forward. So we mentioned the downfall of the youth centres, youth clubs, and it was quite interestingly, I was talking to somebody a few months ago, And the response was, yeah, there isn't much demand for it. And as you know, through our community involvement with young brother Ali and the George Grenfell Memorial Church and the community centre up in Bank Trail Road in Ward End, mashallah, we've managed to secure a facility. And the whole idea of that community hall is basically less. You know, we call it Phoenix because it's like risen from the ashes, and people who understand what Phoenix is all about, because you know people said there's no youth club, there's no need for youth clubs or whatever, and it was lovely to see a massive turnout on a Saturday, absolutely belting down with rain, right? And you know, you want to look out your window thinking, I'm not going out today, but mashallah, we had a really good turnout there, and Brother Ali's there tonight. Got evening sessions on a Thursday night, and then the idea is that on a Saturday, 10 till 1 is ladies only. Whether they want to do a bit of creativity, a bit of art, a bit of baking, a bit of cooking, and then from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock, it'll be the men only session with fathers coming in with their children, what have you. But this is done on a volunteer basis, and we have had some businesses who have supported us. Some businesses have donated money, people have donated money, businesses supported us with food, soft drinks, and quite a bit has been donated by the community. But just something little like that can make a massive impact.
No, definitely. And you know the idea that nobody wants them, it's because probably they've been gone for so long, the kids don't even know that it's an idea, they don't even know it's a possibility.
You see, what you got to remember, Nosheen, is like, I can talk about a youth club, I can talk about a youth club looked like, all due respect to you, somebody like of your generation, they weren't even around. Because by the time you were born or whatever, they've all been decimated. They've all disappeared. And you know, bless you, you still mentioned the hub, and you mentioned a couple of others, right? So that's why it was important to bring these back again and, you know, look at the root causes and move forward. So with regards to action, what do you think should now be the action for the community?
I think it's important that we move past conversation now. I think the time for conversation was over a long time ago. It's okay to come here and sit and talk about it, but there's no point sitting and talking if it's not going to translate into action. And I think it's time to not just lobby politicians, our local councillors, and, you know, maybe our MPs and things like that, but it's time to get out and engage with the youth, and it's time to provide real mentors, and it's time to provide real alternatives to crime. So that innocent victims like Sahel and other people aren't collateral in this kind of aspiration.
And you know, like I remember going to school in the early 80s, and we used to have a solicitor who used to come in, tell us about what solicitors. A police officer used to come in, a dentist used to come in, a veterinary nurse used to pop in, and the whole idea was, you look up to these professionals and you inspired to become one of them. And mashallah, when you look at the social economic arrangements of Alum Rock, you look at the professionals in Alum Rock, we have gone a long way, but there's still further that needs to be done.
You know, we're not the marker for what's, you know, we can't just say there's 10 people I know that have made it, so we've made it. That's not how it works. And you know, there is a demand. Kids are craving for some kind of leadership, direction, inspiration, something. We held a careers fair, we had journalists, we had doctors, lawyers, psychologists, accountants, every profession, you know, kind of the usual ones, you know, and things that people wouldn't think about. And we had hundreds of kids through the door, hundreds of kids through the door on a Saturday morning when they could have been out doing whatever they wanted to do, because they need that. So like I said before, it's past the time for conversation now. We can't sit back and let other people's children die because we're sitting here, you know, intellectualizing a real world problem. And
I think we and the other thing is about, whilst we we partially blame the statutory providers. They haven't offered these service, they haven't delivered these service. But I like your point with the fact is now it's our problem.
Yeah.
The community needs to get together and find a solution.
We've sat down for the past, I the first time I saw somebody die on Wright Road, I was maybe 15 years old, and I've been seeing it happen again and again and again since then. We can't carry on. My son's 13 years old now. I saw it and he's seeing it, and no child should see it growing up. And our children are not any less than children from better off areas, and they shouldn't be exposed to the level of violence. Hearing police sirens shouldn't be normal. Seeing the road cordoned off shouldn't be normal. The time for change has long gone, and and if we don't take action now, then we failed as a community.
And I think we have to own up to our own responsibilities, and it's every individual in the area, every member. And then, to be honest with you, we say we're a Muslim area, even our Islamic faith tells us to do that, and yet we totally ignore that bit.
Yeah.
And this is why it's so important, even to get the likes of mosques on board.
Yeah.
And whilst mosque is a place of worship, whatever, plenty of mosques have community rooms that they can donate.
Our mosques should be community hubs. A mosque is a community hub after being an area for prayer, and it needs to go back to that. They can't just be places that lock the doors after prayer time is over. It's not acceptable at all, as far as I feel very passionately about this. We have resources, we don't utilize them. We need to utilize them.
And I think how do we convey the message to the people who run the mosques and the mosque committees?
It's not, it's as simple as you make it. It's not a difficult thing. You go and you talk to them and you say, we want change and we're going to demand change, because you're a charity at the end of the day. You're not business. It's not a family affair. Sorry to say, because there are a few that are like that.
Unfortunately,
You're a charity. You are here to serve the needs of the community. These are the needs of the community. Are you going to serve them or not? If you don't know how to do it, we're here and we'll help you. It's as simple as that. But there is one point I do want to make, and it's just circling back a little bit.
Thank you very much.
And that is that it's really, really important that we don't buy into the narrative of not victimizing, but kind of tarring our children with the same brush.
Tarnishing our children with the same brush.
They're not. They're not all drug dealers. They're not all violent criminals. We have good, upstanding citizens in Alum Rock who are giving back in ways that other people aren't.
Other people don't.
And it's important to remember that if you peddle a narrative again and again and again, they're going to buy into it themselves, and they're going to do that themselves.
I always explain to people, we have doctors, we have solicitors, we have dentists, we have accountants, and they've come from the system in Alum Rock.
And it's not just a job. Good people, our community does get together when it's needed, and it's important to highlight the good our children do, and it's important to remind them that they're capable, and then they can do what they want to do.
Nosheen, thank you very much. I really appreciate you giving up your time this evening to be with me. We could have carried on for another half hour, but inshallah, next time we'll certainly go into depth a bit further and discuss other areas and other issues and concerns. And inshallah,
thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much.